Big Friday!
Alright, I don't think it takes that much critical thinking to realize I'm kind of gaslighting and rage baiting with the title of this video, but I do genuinely believe it. But there are caveats and it's very circumstantial. So let me explain. I love programming. I literally mean I like the act of programming for myself, for other people. It's a way to efficiently design progress with research-backed methods. I'm currently studying and working in the field of strength and conditioning, so you're not exactly talking to a person who hates programming. And obviously some of the most successful teams, beyond the usage of certain substances, were so successful and remain so famous because of the programs and systems they developed. Obviously the Bulgarians on screen, as well as the Soviet lifters, are incredibly famous for, in part, the way that they trained. Their systems are both infamous and renowned and have had a very lasting impact on the sport, and for very good reason. They are efficient, and when it comes to the best, there is a level of programming that's objectively necessary to make progress. However, and this is my main point in making this video, people often begin to deviate when it comes to weightlifting from the element of sport, which weightlifting very much is. Although being centered in a weight room environment, it is a sport. I think many people in the strength world, when they hear about weightlifting and training such as the Bulgarian system, or really any system of training that's very high in frequency / intensity for that matter, they're shocked because they can't really see it outside the guides of lifting purely for strength or sport performance for another sport, such as a field sport like football or basketball. So when they hear that athletes are doing cleans more than twice a week or squats more than twice a week, they're shocked and they're horrified, and the first thing that they jump to is injury and not making any progress and getting weaker. But they fail to understand that people who weightlift aren't weightlifting for performance in another sport. Weightlifting is the sport. That is the practice. They are practicing their sport. But now you might be thinking, okay, that's great, and maybe I agree or disagree with it, whatever, but how does this have anything to do with programming whatsoever? You still need to program to get better at weightlifting, right? And yes, well, to an extent. Here's my line of reasoning. And keep in mind, I've never once claimed to be a genius. This is just my logic and reasoning. Rarely in any other form of sport, let's say a field sport for instance, will you hear about an athlete's level of success being attributed to the specific type of training they did. It's certainly an element that will be talked about, but generally what it comes down to is the level of effort and time that they have put into said sport. Being an American, I'll mention the NBA. Nobody talks about Kobe Bryant for the specific way in which he trained, other than the fact that it was incredibly long and incredibly intense. There's no specific modality or form of practice that he used that was said to be significantly better than anybody else's. He just worked his ass off. Kobe and athletes like Kobe, regardless of the particular sport, generally approach their training for that sport in a way that revolves around spending as much time and energy practicing as they possibly can. They don't worry about how they're going to do it, they jump into it, and as problems begin to expose themselves and they realize what they need to improve on, they then start working on it with no specific timeline for progress or arriving at a certain goal. They just see an issue, want to improve at it, and work their ass off at improving at it. If you don't watch Dozer Weightlifting, aka Dylan Cooper's content, I highly recommend you check it out. And he's recently delved into Project 370, where he looks to bring his total from 360 up to 370. You can imagine how hard that's going to be. But he talked about getting back into training. And you would imagine for someone looking to add 10 kilos to their already elite level total, they have a specifically designed, regimented program. But no, that's not necessarily the case yet. In his more recent video, he talked about how getting back into training, he's looking to develop a groove, practicing the movements, and letting his current weaknesses expose themselves. If you try to get into training, or back into training for that matter, without really knowing what you need to improve on, you're essentially just guessing, which could very well lead to being a complete waste of your time. And I hope this isn't coming across as a way of fear-mongering around programming, or me saying, oh, if you are running a program, you're completely wasting your time and you actually have no idea what you're doing. That's not the case at all. If you're running a program, you're seeing success, or you feel confident in knowing what your weaknesses are and how to improve them, by all means, go ahead. You can and you should if you've been training for a notable period of time. But if you're new to weightlifting, if you're getting back into training after a long hiatus, whatever that may be, just time constraints from a job, which is something I'm currently dealing with, or an injury of some kind, don't feel pressured to run the most efficient or perfect program effective immediately. You definitely don't need to do that. If you're detrained or completely undertrained, you will make progress regardless. Take time to get into the groove of training, get back into for the first time, the flow of a general weightlifting routine week after week. Start to build up a routine that works for you and your schedule, and then begin to carve out what your strengths and weaknesses are, how you can program around what your life currently looks like, and it all should sort itself out, at least to some extent. And even better, if you're able to get with a coach, you can develop your relationship over time. You can understand yourself as a weightlifter, and they can better understand what your weaknesses are, how to identify them, and you can work together to make something that's able to work for you. And that will all be much more effective than aimlessly running a program that you have heard will work best, or that you think might be best for you and what you need at this time. But beyond finding the most optimized and efficient way to progress in weightlifting, this really just harkens back to have fun. It's okay to take your training not completely unseriously, but approach it with a layer of fun. To walk into the gym and say, I'm gonna practice something I wanna improve at, and you know what, today I'm gonna do the lifts that I want to do, and I'm gonna enjoy doing that, and that will ultimately be the most conducive to finding success and progress. So I hope you were able to take something away from this video. It's something that's really occurred to me throughout my own training and talking with the training of other athletes, weightlifting and non-weightlifting. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Please comment, like, share, whatever, what have you. Really helps out, really means a lot. Take care. Have a nice day.